Maybe the secret to a fulfilling life isn't about accumulating more, but about shedding what no longer serves us: beliefs, relationships, fears. The shedding begins. They speak of inner child work, but it's about more than just remembering. It's about comforting the layers of hurt and unmet needs we've carried since then. The healing is profound. This constant need to please others, it's like wearing a costume that never truly fits, hiding our authentic selves. The discomfort is a constant reminder. Maybe the path to self-discovery is less about finding a hidden treasure and more about unearthing the layers of who we already are. The revelation is within. They say failure is an opportunity to learn, but the fear of it often adds another layer of hesitation and self-doubt. Time to embrace the lessons. This feeling of disconnection, it might stem from the walls we've built, layer by layer, to protect ourselves. The longing for connection is deep. Maybe true confidence isn't about bravado, but about the quiet strength that comes from accepting all the layers of ourselves, flaws and all. The acceptance is powerful. They talk about mindfulness, but it's about more than just being present. It's about acknowledging the multitude of thoughts and feelings that pass through us without judgment. The awareness is key. This feeling of restlessness, it could be the soul's yearning to shed the constraints of a life that doesn't align with its true purpose. The call for change is persistent. Maybe the key to genuine connection is the willingness to be seen in our entirety, without hiding behind any pretenses. The authenticity is magnetic. They say comparison is the thief of joy, but the constant exposure to curated realities adds layers of insecurity. Time to focus inward. This feeling of being lost in the crowd, it might be because we've conformed to so many external expectations, losing sight of our individuality. The rediscovery begins. Maybe true empowerment comes from shedding the victim mentality and taking responsibility for our own emotional landscape. The agency is liberating. They talk about the power of forgiveness, but it's about more than just absolving others. It's about releasing the layers of resentment that weigh us down. The freedom is immense. This feeling of not being enough, it's a deeply ingrained belief that acts as a heavy shroud, obscuring our inherent worth. Time to unveil the truth. Maybe the secret to a vibrant life is the courage to shed the fear of judgment and express our true selves fully. The expression is exhilarating. They say change is inevitable, but resisting it only adds layers of stress and anxiety. Time to embrace the flow. This feeling of stagnation, It might be the result of clinging to old identities and beliefs that no longer fit. The evolution awaits. Maybe true intimacy is about allowing someone to see all the layers of our being, the beautiful and the messy. The vulnerability is the bridge. They talk about the importance of boundaries, but they're also about protecting the delicate layers of our emotional well-being. The self-care is essential. This feeling of overwhelm in the face of so much information, it's like being buried under layers of noise, obscuring our inner wisdom. Time to tune in. Maybe the path to resilience is paved with the acceptance that life will inevitably bring challenges, and it's about learning to navigate those layers of difficulty. The adaptability is key. They say the only constant is change, and resisting it is like trying to hold onto layers of something that's already transforming. Time to let go and flow. This feeling of being trapped, it might be the result of the invisible walls we've built around ourselves, layer by layer, out of fear. The escape is within. Maybe true self-acceptance is about embracing the entirety of our story, all the chapters and verses, without shame or judgment. The wholeness is beautiful. They talk about living in the moment, but it requires shedding the layers of worry about the future and regret about the past. The present is all we have. This profound sense that something needs to shift, it's the inner self urging us to finally shed all the unnecessary layers and reveal the authentic being underneath. The transformation is calling. That nagging feeling of something's missing, it might just be the authentic self buried under layers of societal conditioning. Time to unearth it. They say fake it till you make it. But what happens when making it means being trapped under a persona that isn't truly yours? The cost is too high. This constant need for external validation is exhausting. It's like wearing borrowed clothes that never quite feel right. The search for internal approval begins. They told me to embrace vulnerability, but I didn't realize it meant this many layers I had to shed. The weight of unspoken words is suffocating. Is this what finding yourself really means? Peeling back each expectation, each fear, until nothing but raw emotion remains. It's overwhelming. The truth they never tell you about inner peace. It's buried under a mountain of shoulds and what ifs. Time to excavate. I thought I knew myself, but every time I try to get closer, another barrier appears. It's like an endless shedding of skin, each layer holding a forgotten feeling. They say the eyes are the window to the soul, but what happens when that window is fogged by years of built up emotions? Time to wipe it clean. This feeling of being lost, maybe it's just the disorientation of finally dropping all the baggage I've been carrying. The lightness is unsettling. The secret to happiness they gatekeep. It might just be the courage to unravel all the knots of anxiety and self-doubt that bind us. I'm starting to think letting go isn't a single act, but a continuous process of unburdening one heavy layer at a time. The journey feels infinite. They whisper about authenticity, but the reality is stripping away all the masks we wear for others. It's terrifying and liberating all at once. This pressure to be perfect, it's like wearing a suit of armor that's slowly crushing me. Time to feel the air on bare skin. The weight of expectations is a heavy cloak, and beneath it lies a fragile heart yearning for freedom. The desire to breathe is primal. Maybe the key to understanding ourselves is simply acknowledging the sheer volume of emotions we try to suppress each day. It's a tidal wave waiting to break. They say vulnerability is strength, but showing this many raw nerves feels like standing naked in a storm. The fear is palpable. This constant need for validation. It's like wearing someone else's clothes. They never quite fit, and they hide who you truly are. The discomfort is constant. The path to healing might just be paved with the courage to confront each layer of pain we've carefully tucked away. The process feels daunting. I'm realizing that moving on requires more than just forgetting. It means dismantling the emotional structures we built around past hurts. It's a demolition project of the soul. They talk about self-love, but how can we love something we keep hidden under layers of criticism and judgment? Time for radical acceptance. This feeling of being stuck, maybe it's just the accumulation of all the unexpressed truths that are weighing me down. The silence is deafening. The journey to inner peace might be less about finding something new and more about discarding everything that isn't truly us. The decluttering of the soul. They say time heals all wounds, but what if the wounds are covered by layers of denial and avoidance? Time to let them breathe. This anxiety that grips me, it feels like a tight garment I can't escape. The need for release is overwhelming. Maybe true freedom isn't about external circumstances, but about shedding the internal limitations we impose on ourselves. The possibilities are vast. They speak of resilience, but it's built on the foundation of acknowledging and processing each layer of adversity. The scars tell a story. This feeling of emptiness, perhaps it's the space created by finally letting go of something that was never meant to be carried. The void feels both scary and necessary. The key to unlocking our potential might just be the courage to dismantle the limiting beliefs we've worn for so long. The transformation awaits. They say happiness is a choice, but how can we choose it when we're buried under layers of negativity and self-doubt? Time to dig our way out. This constant striving for more, it feels like adding layer upon layer, never truly satisfied with what's underneath. The cycle needs to break. Maybe the answer isn't to find a new mask, but to finally embrace the face beneath all the pretenses. The vulnerability is terrifyingly real. They talk about finding your voice, but it's often muffled by layers of fear, of judgment, and rejection. The urge to speak is growing. This feeling of being overwhelmed, it's the weight of carrying everyone else's expectations along with my own. Time to lighten the load. Maybe true strength lies not in building walls, but in having the courage to tear them down, brick by emotional brick. The openness is both freeing and frightening. They say the past is behind us, but its weight can still be felt in the layers of regret and unresolved issues we carry. Time to unpack. This feeling of inadequacy, it's a heavy cloak woven from comparisons and self-criticism. Time to see ourselves without the distortions.